Maswanganyi has condemned violence and intimidation between Uber and metered taxi drivers. 2 Uber cars were petrol bombed near the Gautrain Station, allegedly by metered taxi drivers in Johannesburg last night. Uber drivers then retaliated by attacking stationary metered taxis and those driving past the area. At least 1 metered taxi was torched near the Sandton Convention Centre. All right, let's get an update now. We're joined on the line by the Minister's spokesperson, Ismail Mnisi. Ismail, thank you for being with us. That situation last night was deplorable. What's being done?
Well, thank you very much, Francis, and the viewers. Firstly, immediately when the reports of the arson and the intimidation and violence were reported, law enforcement officers were on site to make sure that both sides of the meter taxis and the e-hailing services are separated. However, 3 vehicles have been involved in the arson, but there are no casualties or injuries as a result of what took place yesterday. Minister Joe Maswanganyi immediately denounced this act of violence and intimidation, and reminded all the parties involved of the agreement which was reached on the 27th of July 2017, where it was agreed therefore that the National Land Transport Act will be an instrument that will be used to deal with the challenges that the industry is currently facing. And Section 50 of the Act says that there is no person that may operate a road-based transport service unless he or she is a holder of a legal operating license or permit. Now, we have emphasized this point because through the negotiations that we've been having with both sides, there was an outcry of illegal operators within the industry, which ultimately makes the environment unbearable. It makes the environment to have less profits to the operators. Now we have indicated to them that all operators need to apply for these licenses so that we then deal with the issues of illegal operators. But secondly, we were working with the police. We condemned this act of violence and indicated to them that those who will be found against the law, they risk to lose their licenses, and secondly, they risk to be arrested, because if anybody in the country operates outside the confines of the law, that person will be confined to imprisonment or will be charged accordingly. Now, what we have seen yesterday clearly is a diversion from the agreement that we have had with the operators, and the law enforcement officers have been working hard since yesterday evening to gather the necessary evidence so that they can arrest the perpetrators.
Is this all enough? Is the Transport Minister pushing for police to make arrests? Because we've seen an increase in the violence. I've met a female Uber driver who was terrified. She had been intimidated. This is not acceptable, and we're just talking.
Certainly, we have been making the necessary breakthroughs with the police, making them appreciate the types of challenges that we are having, and we've been receiving good cooperation from them. Since the time when we experienced the first attacks, we have asked the Minister of Police to deploy the law enforcement officers in all the hotspots in this country, and we have seen that happening. However, we do have sporadic incidences where the attacks are muted against each other by these operators. We have had instances where the passengers get intimidated. That is the reason why we made a call that all passengers must be vigilant, and they must report any acts of violence or intimidation to the nearest police station, and equally call the 10111 number whenever they feel that they are under threat. We are going to take a stringent action going forward, as I've indicated before. That includes the annulment of some of the permits that they've given to some of the operators that they are going to be implicated, and also the closing of some of the areas where they are operating. Because if they continue to fight amongst each other, we will certainly take those stringent measures and close some of the ranks that we have given them as the municipalities, as the provinces to operate at.
So what do you mean? You'll try and separate them or close down metered taxis in some areas? What exactly do you mean?
Same operations as we do when there are challenges or confrontation in the major taxi ranks in the country. Meter taxis and Uber, they operate in certain facilities. And those facilities are given by the state for them to be able to conduct their businesses. So firstly, we'll shut down those areas if ever they are not adhering to the agreements that we are having. Now, that determination in terms of the National Land Transport Act can be done by the provinces, and we have spoken to the MEC's office in Gauteng, and we expect certain pronouncements to be made in relation to this matter. And as I'm saying, that includes closing down of all those areas that they operate at, apprehending those that are involved, and also withdrawing of their operating licenses.
Who will be punished in this instance, the metered taxis or the Uber drivers?
All those that are involved, regardless of a mode of an operator they are. If meter taxis are involved in this violence, they will be arrested, and the action will be taken against them. The Uber operators as well, if they are the ones that are starting the violence, they will also be subjected to the same treatment. So we are not going to look at which operator it is or which association they belong to. All we are going to look at are operators who are violating the agreement we have, operators who are violating the National Land Transport Act, and also the conditions of the permits that were given them.
Ishmael, in finality, why is the Minister talking about this Act of 2009 where government can regulate licenses? As far as I know, metered taxis are perfectly legal, and so are Uber. The app and the drivers, everything is legal. So shouldn't the message be here, tolerate each other? Because government needs to be strong. Some would say we have a history where we've allowed taxis to be a law unto themselves. Why isn't government saying just work this out, stop it?
Let me give you this background that the e-hailing services were not part of our initial Land Transport Act because we never had the usage of technology in the transport. Hailing was there, but it was not electronic. And that is why we are introducing an amendment to the National Land Transport Act that will accommodate e-hailing services. So the National Land Transport Act in its current form does not have directly the e-hailing services using technology. Now, the amendments that we are making will include that. However, interimly, we approved that the e-hailing services must apply for licenses like all the meter taxis that are operating in the country up until that legislation has been amended, so that it then accommodates e-hailing services. Now, that is the reason why we continuously remind them that it is important for them to apply for operating license, because we recognize them under the current act, which recognizes them as meter taxis. That is the reason why we continuously emphasize that point, and that those that are operating illegally will be removed from the system, and their cars will be impounded, so that we don't have an overpopulation of the meter taxis in a particular area, which ultimately makes the operators themselves to start a fight for the clients and for others to feel that the others are taking their businesses, the others are more advanced than them, whereas they are not recognized. So we emphasize the point that there is no operator under the current act who is not recognized. They are all recognized. However, they need to apply for these licenses. That's why it is critical for us to resolve the issues of the application of the National Land Transport Act of 2009 as the implementable law under the circumstances.
All right, Ishmael, my point was that the licenses aren't the issue here. The violence and the torching of cars is. But I get your point. Thank you very much. That was the Transport Minister's spokesperson, Ishmael Mnisi, on the line to us.